This may be the last YouTube video you'll ever watch. Okay, it probably won't, but it's an idea that's worth considering because it actually might just make you a little bit more grateful for your life. Let me explain. You see, I quit my job a few months ago. I quit! And when I handed in my resignation, I realized from that point forward, I would only be doing my normal daily tasks a few more times. I took my last sales call, I had my last team meeting, I cried in the shower for the last time.
I just can't do it anymore. I just can't do it.
But I knew it was my last time doing those things because my end date was already in place. But life isn't that way. Life is a little bit more like getting fired from your job, which luckily for you guys, I have been. You hear that, Chad? I'm using you firing me as a good thing. I'm teaching people over here a valuable life lesson. So you can take that and you can suck my big fat You see, when you get fired from your job, you don't know when your last day is going to be. You're kind of just working away in this mindless haze, not really giving boring or mundane tasks any more attention than they probably deserve. However, after I got fired, I started to reflect on how many of those boring, mundane tasks I had done for the last time without even realizing it. I made a cold call for the last time without realizing it. I sent my last sales email for the last time without realizing it. I looked at my shockingly low sales numbers and then cried in the shower for the last time, but without realizing it.
Why are you still here? Leave!
And don't get me wrong, I'm happy I don't have to do those tasks anymore. But there's something just a little bit sad about knowing you've done something for the last time, regardless of how shitty it was. Because the truth is that we do everything in our lives a finite number of times. And we often do them so mindlessly that we've become unaware that at some point there's going to be a last time that we're going to do that. We're so busy just trying to get through stuff, just trying to get to the end of whatever experience we're having. And the issue with this lack of awareness is that we not only take boring, mundane moments for granted, but we also take beautiful ones for granted as well. Let me ask you this. How many times have you been on the phone with one of your parents and you've been completely distracted with something else while you were talking to them? Maybe they're telling you about how their day was, or maybe they're checking in to hear about yours. Regardless, you're kind of just brushing them off, not really giving them the attention or the time of day because you're doing something else that you deem more important. The sad thing that people fail to realize is that that conversation that you just weren't really paying attention to is one of the limited number of conversations that you will ever have with your parents on the phone ever again. Let's say that you're a good kid, you call your parents once a week, and let's also say your parents are around my parents' age, so 60 years old. They're gonna live till they're 90, so let's give that 30 years. Okay, so now you have one phone call with your parents a week for the next 30 years. When you do the math, that is 1,560 phone calls left with your parents ever. Now look, I'm not saying that's a small number of phone calls, but if you've never done this exercise before, I bet you've never even stopped to consider that you can put an actual number on that specific activity, as well as every other activity in your life. And I'm sure some of you out there are saying,
No, Devin. I call my parents like 4 or 5 times a week, and like they're really young. My parents are like 25 years old, so I got like so many years left. And if you do the math on that, it's like a way bigger number. And
listen, I don't care. That's great and all, I'm happy for you. But the truth is that you can still tie a specific number to that activity. Nobody knows what that number is, but there's still a number. Fundamentally, it does not matter whether it's the last time you do something or the 1,000th last time you do something. If you are not present and simply appreciating the moment for what it is, because you are never, ever going to know when it is the last time. The sad thing is that so many of us live our lives this way. We fail to appreciate the finite nature of life until it's far too late. We rush through boring moments. We fail to appreciate beautiful moments. And as a result, we live an entire life without living it. And so as you're going through your day today, pick just one boring task. It could be washing the dishes, doing something at work, cleaning up the yard. It doesn't really matter what it is. Just pick one and imagine that it is the last time that you are ever going to get to do this activity. Now, this might seem insignificant, but being able to do this for small, boring moments actually has huge implications on the rest of your life. Because the truth is that the majority of our life is made up of these small, boring, mundane moments. And if we can learn to be present during them, well, we can actually stop taking so much of life for granted. Because eventually you're going to realize that on some level, every single thing that you do is incredibly precious when you're doing it for the last time. You see, this entire concept is actually from the philosophy of Stoicism. And there's actually another idea that has allowed me to regain a sense of control in my life during some of the hardest times that I've been through. And I actually made a video about it right here. You're definitely gonna wanna check that out, because when you start to stack Stoic ideas on top of one another, they become 10 times more powerful together than they ever could alone.